Right. Welcome to Garden of the Spirit, a class studying apples from the orchard for the second time beginning after Pesach 2014. This class meets in Long Meadow, Massachusetts, the center of the universe, and is held in memory of Malka Ruth, Bas Moshe, Margaret Vogel of blessed memory. Of the apples from the orchard contains selections of teachings of the Arizal, of Kabbalah from the Arizal, Rabbi Yitzchak Luria, based on the weekly Torah portion, superbly translated and explained by Rabbi Moshe Wisniewski. I'll try to reach Guillermo. And let's see what we got for us today. So we're on page 433, fourth chapter on Teruma. Okay, ready? The lid of the aron is called the kapores. Attached to the kapores were two. Are you joining? It's 7:20. No, Alan's working now. He's working till 8. Jump on. We just started. Okay. We won't wait for you, but we'll expect to see you shortly. You're welcome. Attached to the kapores were two cherubs, two angelic figures. The kapores and cherubs were formed from one block of gold. According to tradition, the cherubs miraculously embraced when the Jewish people were turned to Hashem, and they turned away from each other when Hashem was displeased with the people. As is well known, most particularly from the book of Shir Hashirim, the relationship between Hashem and the Jewish people is compared to the relationship between man and woman. This is seen in Kabbalah, most notably in the relationship between Zeir Anpin and Malchus. There are three opinions regarding the spheras represented by the cherubim. One, Zeir Anpin and Nukva. Two, Netzach and Hod of Ima. And three, Abba and Ima. Anyone have any questions on those or about what that means?
Nope.
We're good. Keep in mind that the interaction between Abba and Ima is different than the interaction between Zeir Anpin and Nukva. Abba and Ima are always in a state of interaction. Zeir Anpin and Nukva interact intimately only when there is a healthy flow of divine energy to the world. Otherwise, they interact only on a superficial, unengaged level or disengaged level with each other. We say that they don't interact, but I think they have to interact for the world to exist. It's just that it's so superficial and unengaged from each other that we say that they don't interact.
Kind of like how it is, so to speak.
You think?
You think?
Okay. Right is left and left is right.
Yeah.
Okay. 433. Jim, it's up to you.
Okie dokie. Angels of the ark, you shall make two cherubs. Regarding the ark cover and the cherubs, there are those of the opinion that the cherubs are manifestations of Zeir Anpin and Nukva. There are others of the opinion they are manifestations of Netzach and Hod of Ima. And there are still others of the opinion they are manifestations of Abba and Ima. According to sages, the two cherubs represent the pairing of God and the Jewish people. When God is pleased with us, the cherubs faced each other. When not, they miraculously turned away from the other. The Kabbalistic archetype for the romantic dynamic of union and estrangement is the relationship between the parts of Im, of Zer Anpin and Nukva, whose union is intermittent and depends upon the behavior of the Jewish people whose souls are derived from Nukva. The more mature parts of Im, of Ab and Ima, do not undergo such vicissitudes in their relationship. Their union is constant.
Thank you.
Inasmuch,
Now, can anyone give me a definition for a vicissitude?
Me.
What?
Vicissitude means something that is unstable.
yeah, unstable, problematic, chaotic.
Really? How do you spell it?
Problem. V like in
I didn't
Victor.
know that.
Vicissitudes.
The quality or state of being changeable.
There we go.
Natural change or mutation visible in nature or in human affairs, a favorable or unfavorable event or situation that occurs by chance, a fluctuation of state or condition, difficulty or hardship attendant on a way of life, career, or course of action, usually beyond one's control, alternating change. Interesting. Okay, number 2. 3. All 3 opinions are true. Excuse me, the cherubs originate in Abba and Ima. They then go through Netzach and Hod of Ima to Ze'er Anpin and Nukva. If they would only be from Abba and Ima, the cherubim would have the faces of old people. Abba and Ima are the parents. If they came only from Ze'er Anpin and Nukva, it appears they would have the faces of children. I am. That's what it seems to say. Not 100% sure about that. The Gemara states that they did indeed have the faces of children. Rather, they had the faces of adults because they were from Netzach and Hod of Ima that entered Ze'er Anpin and Nukva. So they didn't have the appearance of old people, didn't have the appearance of very young people. It was in between the Cinderella syndrome. Okay, Jim, go ahead.
Inasmuch as all opinions in the Torah are true, we know the cherubs are in fact manifestations of Abba and Ima, which are like Ze'er Anpin and Nukva, except they never ever part. They also manifest Netzach and Hod of Ima, which enter Ze'er Anpin. For this reason, they had middle-aged adult faces to indicate that they entered into Ze'er Anpin. For if an Ab and Ima were in their place above, it would have been proper for them to have had elderly adult faces rather than middle-aged mature faces. Rather, we must assume they were manifestations of Netzach and Hod that entered Ze'er Anpin. The sages state the cherubs on the ark cover had the faces of a child. The Zohar states that 3 times a day during daily prayers, the cherubs would miraculously spread their wings at that time when the Jews experienced expanded, mature consciousness, and their faces would change from that of a child to that of an adult. In Kabbalistic terms, mature consciousness is the presence of the mentality of Ima in Ze'er Anpin. The fact that Ima can enter Ze'er Anpin is its Netzach and Hod, as we have explained previously. Very good.
Okay. 4. In a way, the wings of the cherubs are like the shelter of a sukkah. For one thing, the Torah refers to the wings as sochachim b'chanfeihem ala kaporas, sheltering with their wings over the kaporas. The shelter Sochachim is the word sukkah. Secondly, it's from the wings of the cherubs that were 10 handbreadths above the kaparas that we know the minimum height of a sukkah is 10 handbreadths. So that's a connection to sukkah and the cherubs. In the last bracha of Ma'ariv before Shemona Esrei, we say, Ufros aleinu sukkah shlomecha, spread over us your sukkah, or shelter, peace. This may refer not only to the sukkah of peace, but also to the shelter of Shlomo. King Shlomo built large cherubim for the Beis HaMikdash that brought shelters of peace to the Jewish people, because the cherubim interact in harmony, which brings a healthy flow of divine energy to the Jewish people in the world.
Mhm.
Okay? Now, I made a lot of this up. I made connections here. It does not say all this in the book. I think that is what it means. Okay, go ahead, Jim.
About this, it said, and spread over us the shelter of your peace, referring to the shelter of Solomon. The word for peace, shalom, is closely related to the name Solomon, Shlomo. This refers to the fact when Netzach and Hod of Ima enter Zer Anpin's intellect matures, and this quiets the internal strife going on inside us. The mentality of Ima, that is Ima itself, cannot enter Zer Anpin. It hovers over us, acting as an inspiration, protecting us. In any case, the union of two cherubs signifies the union of Zer Anpin and Nukva, who, when united, resemble the constant union of Abba and Ima. Apparently, when Netzach and Hod of Ima enter Zer Anpin, this somehow completes the Yesod of Ima, as will now be stated, and it sets in motion the proper functioning of the cherub's art cover, the revelation of God's will through Torah.
Okay. 5. It seems that this process of Abba and Ima, flowing into Netzach and Hod of Ima, which then flows into Zer Anpin and Nukva, brings fulfillment to Yesod of Ima. Keep in mind that the cherubim are on the lid of the Aron, and inside the Aron are the luchos representing the Torah. The Torah is associated with Chachma or Abba. The Aron represents Malchus of Ima. Together, they interact to continue the flow of divine energy through the process of creation. Abba and Ima, the luchos and the Aron.
Mhm.
Okay, go ahead, Jim.
When Yesod of Ima is completed, Yesod of Abba, which is the Torah, becomes manifest. Where is it manifest? In the Ark of the Covenant, which manifests Malchus of Ima. When Yesod of Ima, the womb of the mother, is ready, the Yesod of Abba, the father's procreative organ, is aroused to fertilize it. Insight is drawn into the mind when the mind has created in itself a vacuum, a womb, an awareness that needs to be filled. This is possible only if the individual feels a sense of bittul, selflessness, a willingness to relinquish his present imperfect worldview in favor of a more perfect one. Hold on a second. Okay, I just got a note from Heskey. Hava's had a good screen. I just wanted to relate that.
Thank you.
Thank God.
She probably is going to have some more surgery, but she's not got a new nodule, and that's good news.
Very good.
Okay. This is possible only if the individual feels a sense of bittul, selflessness, a willingness to relinquish his present imperfect worldview in favor of a more perfect one. Malchus of Ima is the interface between Ima and the lower parts of Im, the ability of the intellect to create emotions and their expression.
Okay. 6. Malchus of Bina is the bottom of the second sphera. When we remove the Torah from the Aron Kodesh, we bring it to the table where it will be read, which is the sphera of Malchus, the 10th sphera. In other words, we bring Chachma, we take the Torah out, we bring Chachma from the second sphera to the 10th sphera, causing divine energy to flow through the spheras. We do that, we take the Torah from the Aron Kodesh and bring it to the Shulchan to be read. Okay, go ahead.
Similarly, when we remove the Torah scroll from the ark in the synagogue, we are in effect removing the Torah, Chachma, from the ark, that is the Malchus of Bina. We then take it to the reader's platform, that is Malchus. Reading the Torah is revealing God's will in the world, manifesting the divine insight of Chachma as developed into a new vision of reality in Bina that is now ready to revitalize and re-inspire the world. We will now see how this dynamic is manifest in the array of angels in the higher worlds.
Angels. 7. We find 3 kinds of angels. Seraphim. What was I going to put in? Fiery angels. Bria. Chayot. Or Chayot. Animals. And Yitzira and Ophanim. Ophanim means?
Like a circle, I think.
Yes. Wheels.
Wheels, circles, yeah.
Yep. Okay. In Asiya, we mention all 3 in Shacharis in the bracha before Shema. The cherubim are seraphim. Okay.
Similarly, we find reference to seraphim, which are cherubs, being in Bria, which is associated with Bina, and to Chayot, being in Yetzirah, and Ophanim in Asiya.
Okay, my turn. 8. We've seen that the 4 letters of Hashem's name correspond to the 4 stages of creation. Yud, Atzilus, Hey, Bria, Vav, Yetzirah, and Hey Asiya. There are 2 seraphim from whom millions of angels issue. The 2 seraphim correspond to the first 2 letters, Yud and Hey, which means Chachma inside Bina, and they enter Bria. Because Bina here is the envelope, Chachma is inside it. Bina is the host, and that corresponds to Bria. Go ahead, Jim.
There are 2 Sepharim, even though innumerable camps of millions of angels are derived and issue from them. They respond to Yud K, that is Chachma, inside Bina, which together enter Bria. Seraphim are more intellectual angels who personify divine consciousness based on intellectual comprehension of divinity. The letters Yud K signify Chachma and Bina. As stated in the Zohar, that the 4 worlds are dominated by 4 levels of divine consciousness, indicated by the 4 letters of the name Havaya, respectively. Thus, the world of Atzilus is dominated by Chachma Yud, pure divine awareness. Bria is dominated by Bina Hey, divine intellect. Yetzirah is dominated by the Midot, Vav, divine emotion. And Asiya is dominated by Malchus Hay, which is divine expression.
Wow. So those four things are awareness, intellect, emotion, and expression. All right. So okay, 8, 9. The Arizal quotes a Gemara that would be helpful to quote in full over here. Rabbi Shmuel ben Elisha, the Kohen Gadol, said, I once entered the Holy of Holies, Kodesh HaKadoshim on Yom Kippur, to burn the incense. I saw Casey, Ka, Havaya, Sivakot, sitting on a high and lofty throne. He said to me, Yishmael, my son, bless me. I said to him, may it be your will that your mercy vanquish your anger, and your mercy overcome your sense of judgment, and you behave to your children with the attribute of mercy, and treat them beyond the letter of the law.
Mhm.
And he nodded to me with his head in approval.
Mhm.
We see here 4 names. There is a dispute whether Casey refers to Hashem or to an angel. Casey corresponds to Keser and Atzilus. Ka, that's Yud and Hey, corresponds to Bina and Bria. Havaya corresponds to Tiferes and Yetzirah. Tzivakot corresponds to Netzach and Hod and Asiya. In any case, what's important for us here is that we have 4 names, and they all go down through the 4 stages of creation.
Mhm.
In this anecdote, we see the first 2 letters, Yud and Hey, correspond to Bina, and to Bria. And incidentally, these 2 letters form a name of Hashem aside from the name Havaya of 4 letters.
Mhm.
That's next.
Wow.
Gerson, are you ready?
435
435 in the middle. Thank you very much, Jim.
This is
Yep.
name. This is named Ka in the world of Berea. As Rabbi Ishmael said, I saw Casey, Ka Havaya Sivakot. Evidently, these 4 names of Hashem corresponds to the 4 letters of the name Havaya, the 4 worlds, the 4 Partsufim, etc. The name Casey is obviously related to Keser, the super-rational Sephirah that serves as a source of insight given into Chokhmah, and is thus associated with the world of Asilus. Ka, as just stated, refers to Chokhmah within Bina. The experience of Bria, Habaya, is associated with Tiferes, the central of the 6 Midos. Sevakot is associated with Netzah and Hod, which are manifest of Hashem's actions in the world of Asiya.
Okay, thanks. These 2 seraphim are the angels Michael and Gavriel. They are the strength of Gevura. Seraph means burn because these angels are fiery. The gematria of Seraph is 580, the same as strength, Tokef. We just said the strength of Gevura. I looked for other translations of Takif instead of strength, and I saw assertive, and invincible. So they are forms of strength, of the word for strength.
Mhm.
Okay? These are, Gershon.
These are the 2 archangels, Michael and Gabriel, who are termed Seraphim and are the strength of the states of Gevura. Bina is on the left side of the Sephirah tree and therefore associated with Gevura. Thus, Seraphim, the angels of Bria, are also associated with Gevura. In particular, the word seraph means fiery angel or burning angel, referring to the burning up of self-awareness that accompanies deep intellectual comprehension of divine reality. The relentless, consuming nature of fire is associated with Gevura.
Hmm.
Go on.
Go on. This is indicated by the fact that the numerical value of seraph, 580, is the same as of the word for strength, tokef. Seraph, sin, resh, pay, 300, 280, 580. Tokef, tab, kof, pay, 400 plus 100 plus 80, 580.
Okay, thank you. Number 11. All of the final letters, man sapach, that's the final mem nun sadik pei chaf, then they have the same gematria as there's the regular letter. So mem is 40, final mem is 40. And following that, they have a gematria of 280. 2 times 280 is 560. We just said that saraf is 580 and tokef is 580. So these add up to 280 times 2 is 560. The Arizal adds another 20 because, in his words, each one includes himself, possibly itself, and the other one. I think this means 10 each for Michael and Gavriel. Okay, we are now at page 436 at the top.
They are twice the numerical value of the final letters. The letters mem, nun, tzadik, pei, and chaf possess final forms indicating a stopping of or restraint, gebura, of the flow of divine life force represented by the letters of the alphabet. Mem, nun, tzadik, pei, chaf, 40 plus 50 plus 90 plus 80 plus 20, 280. 2 times 280, 560.
Keep going.
Each one includes itself and its fellow with it. The statement apparently completes the calculation from 560 to 580.
Okay. 12. The angels of Chayot reside, so we just said that Saraf is in Bria. Now the angels of Chayot reside in Yetzirah. The 6 Sfirot of Zeranpin line up in 2, hello?
Right.
What happened there? Line up in 2 triads. Chesed on the right, Gvura on the left, Tiferes in the center, Netzach on the right, Hod on the left, Yesod in the center. In other words, Netzach is aligned with Chesed. Hod is aligned with Gvura. And Yesod is aligned with Tiferes. Each of these 3 groups is associated with an angel. A 4th angel is for Malchus from the back of Tiferes. The 4 Chayos and Yetzirah are named Michael, Gavriel, Nuriel, and Raphael. They are all extensions of Tron, who is the main Chaya angel.
Mhm.
Okay, go ahead, Gershon.
Below them are the Hayot in Yetzirah. There are 4 Hayot in this order. Netzah is included within Chesed, Hod is included in Gevurah, Yesod is included in Tiferes. This is 3. The 4th is Malchus, which issues from the back of Tiferes. It is the 4th Chaya. The names of the Hayot are Michael, Gabriel, Nuriel, and Raphael. They are all aspects of Tron, for he is the main Chaya, while these 4 others are manifestations of him.
Okay, good, thanks. 13. Yetzirah corresponds to the 6 spheres of Zerampin and the Vav of Hashem's name.
Mhm.
Each Vav is worth 6. Together, they equal 36.
Mhm.
In the vision of Yeshaya of the heavenly throne, it says, Seraphim stand above him, lo. The word for him, lo, has a gematria of 36. It can be understood to mean Seraphim stand above the 36. It never occurred to me that this line, the word lo, is written. It's a strange word to use here. You would say Seraphim omdim. Usually, I think you would write in one. You'd combine it with the word ma'al, like mi ma'alo or mi ma'alav, but not. I don't know. Low just seems very. Low seems very unusual to put over here. So it would be because they want it because it's 36. And how long is 14? And I don't know what that means that they stand above him, because we said just before this, the Seraphim are the 36. So here it says that they stand above the 36. So Seraphim are from Atzilus, Abria.
Mhm.
Seraphim are in Bria, and therefore they're over the 36. I'm going to fill that in. Okay, Gershon, go ahead.
There are 6 extremities, which are the 6 babs, whose combined numerical value is 36. The seraphim are above them, as it is written, seraphim were standing above him. The word for him in this verse is lo, lamed vav, whose numerical value is 30 plus 6, 36. Thus, the verse may read, the seraphim were standing above the 36.
Okay, got that.
Makes sense. Now it makes sense. Yeah.
Now it makes sense. I was figuring, The angels in Asiya are called Ophanim. The vision of Yecheskel makes reference to one Ophan.
Mhm.
We see from there that there's actually only one Ophan, and infinite Ophanim issue from it. Okay, go ahead.
The Ophanim are below this in Asiya. In fact, there is only one Ophan, as it's written. And behold, there was one Ophan on the earth, but innumerable camps of derivative Ophanim issue from it.
Okay. Now, in Atzilus, nothing can be distinguished from the divine energy. Therefore, there can only be one entity. Divine energy shines below Atzilus, but it shines in Bria through one screen, in Yetzirah through 2 screens, and in Asiya through 3 screens. These 3 lower levels are called world of apartness, because it appears they are not connected with godliness. Thus, there are 4 stages of creation, but there are 2 groups. In Atzilus, divine energy. In Atzilus, nothing appears apart from Hashem. In the lower 3, divine energy shines through screens. Okay, all this at the bottom of 436.
All this is because in Atzilus, it is impossible for there to be any duality whatsoever. But below Atzilus, even though the infinite light of Hashem spreads throughout Beria, Yetzirah, and Asiya, it shines through veils. It shines into Beria through 1 veil, into Yetzirah through 2 veils, and into Asiya through 3. Therefore, the infinite light of Hashem does not cling to them, that means these worlds, and they are therefore termed worlds of separateness.
Okay. 16. Klipa is found in abundance in Asiya. Therefore, it is called the world of death. Ophanim, the angels of Asiya, have no life force from within. Their life force comes from Yetzirah. Okay, your turn.
Blah, blah. We can therefore speak of 2 or 4 entities in these worlds, as is required apropos the matter. When we reach the world of Asiya, the forces of evil are quite numerous there, and is therefore termed the world of death. For this reason, the Ophanim, which are the angels in Asiya, possess no intrinsic life force, being from the world of death. Rather, their life force comes from Yetzirah.
Okay, in the vision of Yecheskel, it says, but incidentally, there are 2 visions of the heavenly throne, one of Yeshaya and one chapter 6, one of Yecheskel, chapter 1. He's standing at the Nahar Kavor, at the river Kavor. In the vision of Yecheskel, it says, the spirit of the Chaya is in the Ophanim. The Ophanim, who have no life force of their own, receive from the angels Chayot in Yetzirah. And I'll finish up. This is also the meaning of the pasuk. When the chayos moved, the ofanim followed. And when the former moved, the latter moved. When the former stopped, the latter stopped.
This is the meaning of the verse. For the spirit of the Chaya was in Ophanim, and as we know, the Chaya is in the world of Yetzirah. Thus, the spirituality and life force of Yetzirah descends into the Ophanim of Asiya, and there is no life force in the Ophanim except whatever reaches them from Yetzirah. This is why, when the Hayot moved, the Ophanim followed. When the former moved, the later moved, and when the former stopped, the later stopped. For the spirit of the Chaya was in the Ophanim, and the later's life force comes from the former.
Okay, and that's it. Yeah. Okay, so we got a lesson here on angels and the connection to the cherubim or keruvim.
Could you go to the last note, please?
Yes.
Okay, it's 17. No, it's 16. So how can there be a spiritual world of death?
It's called the world of death
Why?
because klipa is an abundance.
But
So they call it the world of death. It's a spiritual world and everything. But since klipa is dominant, or it's there, so it gets this nickname.
well, I thought because the Ophanim had no life force of their own, so so they are angels. They're derivatives, I don't know, because they have to have the life force from Yisir. I thought I understood.
Because of the klipa that's there. It doesn't
All right.
mean that it is a world of death. It's like a name, it's like a title because of the klipa. I mean, or I say differently, it doesn't have to mean actual death in the sense that we know it.
So
It
I think
means separateness from Hashem.
Yeah, it means evil, forces of evil more than death. I mean, which is like death, but
Yes. So death, you could say that death is used as a borrowed term here, as a euphemism.
right.
yeah,
Right.
it's the name that stuck to it. Just marketing.
So
I mean, the term is klipot in the Hebrew, so it's evil.
so would the golem be an example of an Ophan?
Golem?
Mhm.
Why do you say that?
Because
Why?
they don't have life of their own, but they get
Yeah.
life from somewhere else.
I mean, it's a medrash, right?
What?
The golem.
Not really. It's a story from the Maharala frog. From the I think the 1500s.
Yeah.
There is a story that one came to Argentina.
A golem?
Yes, and he protected the little path. It's not a path, how you call it, the dead end. It's not quite a street. It's not quite a hallway. It's a small an alley. Yeah, that type of thing. It came out in the regular paper in Argentina. Somebody brought it before the Second War or something like that.
To protect who?
Well, the golem was protecting the alley. That's the story, but who knows?
Like, was it a Jewish
Yeah.
legend? Or not necessarily.
No, it's apparently some immigrant brought something, and they thought, the myth is that that was a golem, and the golem was used to protect this alley. I'll look up the article and see what they're talking about. Somebody wrote the book, obviously, so it's being plugged in the paper, in the regular paper in Argentina. So that's what rang a bell.
Okay. No,
All right.
Golem is a creature that's closer to an animal than
No.
man?
No.
No?
The golem was brought to life through quotes incantations. It was a mud pile
Yeah.
that was made into the form of a human. It's where Mary Shelley got her idea for Frankenstein.
Yeah. You ever read about the golem?
Yeah, of course.
Rachel teaches it in depth.
What?
She reads the kids the story of the golem.
She
But it
teaches
was-
depth to the children.
Yeah. She reads it to the middle school, 7th and 8th grade, 6th, 7th, 8th. But the golem was like a person, but it didn't have
Was
brains, and he couldn't speak. So he was like a humanist, not humanist, but you know what I mean. More like an animal, like a cross between animal and a person.
Like a robot in a way.
Like intelligence was not on the level of a human being.
There is a novel I read in 5 years ago. It's called The Golem and the Genie, and they spell genie with J. And it's a nice story, and I think she wrote the sequel. I think I bought it on Kindle, never opened it. So, but that's some dude was studying in Eastern Europe and found some books